Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's 107 here on the East Coast here, hour two of our great daily program here, right here on Biz TV. I'm Fernando Uribe, filling in for John Tobacco here on Liquid Lunch. So we've got some great guests coming up here in hour two. And don't forget to like Liquid Lunch on Facebook. And certainly don't forget to follow it on Instagram and Twitter, as well as myself, also on Instagram at Professor Fernando Uribe. And also hit me up on Twitter, folks, at Professor F. Uribe. And without a doubt, we know that the stimulus package was the talk of the last 24 hours. Here to help me break it down is the CEO of Engineered Tax Services, Mr. Julio Gonzales. Julio, how are you?
I'm good, good. How are you?
How was your Christmas?
It was wonderful. I hope you had a great Christmas as well.
I did. It was pretty good weather up here in New Jersey, in the New York area. It wasn't as cold a Christmas as I thought it would be. I know you're down in Florida, right, Julio?
Yeah, we had great weather yesterday, and this whole week has been wonderful down here. A little cooler, so it felt a little Christmassy.
Well, listen, a little cool doesn't hurt anybody, but I'm glad you're doing well, Julio. And certainly, Julio, over the weekend, as a matter of fact, even last night, we know that the stimulus bill was signed by the president after going through both chambers of Congress. And, there's been a lot of debate about the ongoing discussion of the $2,000 stimulus check as opposed to the reality of the $600 one that got signed into law. What are your thoughts about this? And quite frankly, I think it continues to put Americans in this continued economic despair. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. I think President Trump was right about investing in our people and giving them more, financial support, and that investment would be a good return on investment. But clearly, Senate didn't see it that way, and Senate didn't want to extend any more debt, thinking it was more of a debt than an investment. And so, ultimately, though, I think the president said, "I can't let the people down. I got to make sure that they have the benefits, the additional stimulus program, and hopefully, get some additional monies to them." And I think that was his thinking yesterday when he signed the bill.
Well, one of the things that doesn't surprise me, Julio, again, and this is the academic in me because I'm such a policy nerd, is seeing that wasteful spending continues to infect legislation. And I think it's no different in this stimulus bill. We've seen aid to foreign governments. Why gender studies in Pakistan is more important than the needs of the American people is beyond me. But it seemed that, again, wasteful spending rears its ugly head when it comes to bills such as this.
Well, when the bills like this are up for voting, everyone's lined up. Every lobbyist in DC is lined up to get their benefit in there. And you can see that, right? The alcohol companies got the excise tax, right? We saw a lot of, spending that you just discussed that, no person here would think would be a worthwhile investment. But, to get the votes done, every senator, every congressman has a little input on what's going to be in that bill. And ultimately, everyone wants a little piece because, right, they're funded by these big lobbying firms and the firms behind them. And so that's what happens with these bills. That's why it's 5,600 pages, right? They had to get so many things added in to make sure that everyone was ultimately available in a way to vote positive on this. And that's not untypical of any bill up there, though.
No, Julio, you're absolutely right. And again, as a policy nerd, I know that firsthand. And it's such a waste of paper and killing trees necessarily when you look at the content of bills like this. I know you are a member of the President's Tax Roundtable. And, one of the things that's interesting about what you do, again, as a CEO of Engineered Tax Services, is the issues that small businesses are continue to face, though, right, Julio, when it comes to PPP loans and how the tax credits in the bill, for example, that was just passed, can help them, at least when it comes to like employee retention credits or tax credits for the self-employed. Why is this still such an ongoing difficulty for Americans, especially those that own small businesses?
Absolutely right. Look, this bill was important, and I'm glad it got signed off, even though there was so many things in there that you and I are probably both disappointed about. The good things for small businesses were that, one, now the PPP, the first round, is taxable, right? You get the taxable deduction. That's huge because for so many small businesses that took that and then had to pay taxes on those funds, that was going to be a dramatic thing. So getting that fixed was important. Two, now we have a second round of PPP funds that's available even to the first round users as well. And the important thing there is that it's now you have to show economic deprivation as a small business, but still available. And they coupled it with the employment tax credits. So in the old CARES Act, you could only take one or the other. Now you get the opportunity to take the PPP, have another shot at it, and also take the employer tax credits that don't have to be decoupled. So those were massive, massive positives for any small business here in the United States.
Now, Julio, we know that, again, the recent stimulus bill still doesn't address a lot of what many, I think, really everyday Americans were hoping for. And I want to get your thoughts on this because it's something that has come up in discussion. And I talked about it during my opening segment where, everyone on the left or a lot of these progressives and liberals that were so cheering on Joe Biden when it comes to, student loan forgiveness. Well, we all know he told Forbes this weekend that he will not be caving to the progressive wing and canceling $50,000 of debt per borrower via executive order. He said that even the $10,000 amount probably seems like the more realistic number. Do you see that still being a problem going to 2021 when it comes to taxes? Because we all know that, for any interest paid on student loans, that helps, I think, in terms of deductions, correct? And the fact that we haven't been paying right now for the duration of this year, people haven't been paying their loans. So the fact that they're not going to get that credit in there, could it possibly hurt a lot of Americans next year when doing their taxes?
Yeah, I mean, look, it all comes down to January 5th in Georgia on what happens in the tax code that we have in the tax laws, because if we hold the majority in the Senate, not a lot of sophisticated tax can get done. There's no way that some of those progressive acts would ever come remotely close to getting done against the U.S. population here. I mean, in terms of, other people paying to fund through their tax dollars other people's debts. But, if it goes the other way in Georgia and it goes Democrat and they pick up the 2 seats, then I see that progressive side really moving in. And I think we would see some of those tax initiatives and tax law changes over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, as they get very aggressive in trying to get progressive tax laws in there.
Well, when it comes to that, and again, when we look at, progressive tax laws, it sort of goes back to, honestly, the impact that student loans have on regular everyday Americans. Again, we know that the last 9 months, we have not had to pay student loans. I know I haven't seen that deduction in my checking account every month. But for a lot of Americans, even, again, that $10,000 amount that seems to be the more realistic goal, that might not even happen either. What are your sources telling you about how realistic that could be?
I think again, if the Republicans maintain the Senate in Georgia, I don't think it gets done. If the Democrats do, then I think it gets done right away. I mean, it really, I think, comes down to that, unless there's some ultra compromise because this pandemic is not getting cured by the cures that we've put out there.
Julio, real quick, and we have to wrap up here shortly. But again, as the CEO of Engineer Tax Services, we know that the state of Florida is very different than the Empire State up here and the Garden State where I live. When we look at 2021, again, notwithstanding, as you mentioned, the Senate races, but on a statewide level, though, how successful are businesses like yours doing in a state like Florida where there is no state income tax?
Well, I think we're doing great because of that reason, and also because, we stayed open, and 2, we're not increasing, taxes, right? We don't have any taxes to begin with, so we're not increasing them, and we've stayed open. I think those are the 3 big keys that any people in New York, New Jersey are facing, right? We didn't open up, so the tax burden got wider and wider, right? And so you have to raise the taxes, but then you're running off the tax. You're running off the people that pay the taxes to come here, right? They say the stock exchange is going to move. A lot of companies are moving. Individuals, 400 a week moving out of New York, right? And that's the people that do pay the taxes. So who does it hurt? The middle class, right? That gets stuck with these taxes. I mean, I know you like policy. I mean, and maybe you see it the same way or different, but I think this just is a trend that's going to continue, and that they're going to, move out. And I don't know how New York necessarily comes back from that.
You know what, Julio, definitely it's worth talking about, and we'll definitely have you back on soon. Once again, happy holidays to you, and best wishes for 2021. We'll talk to you again soon here on Liquid Lunch.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you, Julio. All right, folks, again, great guests here still. We're going until 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm Fernando Uribe, filling in for John Tobacco. We'll be right back here on Liquid Lunch right after this.